These have been brought to share. It's not like the time, which I know. Sashi Jokshine to Travirabrinshi Yandegambadi Sange Shindu Mittewa Nidrakunanga Shimla Chupasho Idam Guru No. Sange Churan Soki Chupanda Jamchu Vardu Lakmi Kyapsuchi Naki Jinzangi Pesunanki Drola Panchir Sange Rupasho Churan Soki Chupanda Jamchu Vardu Lakmi Kyapsuchi Naki Jinzangi Pesunanki Drola Panchir Sange Rupasho Churan Soki Chokamba Jamchu Pardu Lakmi Kyapsuchi Daki Jinzangi Pesunanki Drola Panchir Sange Rupasho Just keep your eyes closed. You can place your hands on your knees, in your lap. Have a nice tall spine. Sitting up nice and straight, but relaxed. Your shoulders are relaxed. Feeling heavy through your sit bones. Just watching your breath, being present. Placing this holy being in front of you. Someone that you see as higher as you, someone you feel you can look up to or you can learn from. It can be someone who's in your life right now. If you have someone officially as a teacher, you should always place them in front of you. But if you don't have someone, it can just be someone you look up to. It can be your mother or your brother or a yoga teacher or a figure from the past. Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Jesus. Any being that you see as holy. And to this holy being, you prostrate 3 times. And as you sit in front of them, you see them as real, not just a picture, not a flat picture. It's like real. They're sitting in front of you. You can feel their breath, their warmth of their body. You can sense their smell. They're very, very beautiful to you. If it helps, you can put them in front of you looking like they're in the prime of their youth, like they're 16 or something. Now let's multiply ourselves, sending out copies of ourselves all beside the you that is sitting there right now. So there's like hundreds of you sitting in front of this holy being. And all of you make an offering to this holy being. Give them something precious. This can be a material thing. It can be beautiful smells or sounds or views. It can be a sky full of flowers, diamonds raining down. You can make it as elaborate if you like. You can keep it very simple too. But making all these hundreds of you make this offering. One very high offering would be to offer them your practice. Offer them the time that happened perhaps this week where someone challenged you and you didn't do it back to them. You applied the view that you've been learning in these classes. Whatever you offer, they're so happy and pleased. And then you make a confession to them. anything from the last 24 hours, anything small or anything big. And if you've been not misbehaving in the past hours, then go further back in time. I'm sure you can come up with something. And see this holy being be so happy with your confession. And then we rejoice. Tell him something that someone else has done that you'd like to rejoice in. And offer them something that you did that is worth rejoicing. Some kind of kindness that you've acted out. And again, they're just so happy with you being open with them. And ask this holy being, again, you can ask all hundreds of you, thousands of you, just beg this teacher to teach you. Beg them to show up in your life and teach you through many different ways. You can see things as they're teaching. You can see things as your teacher directly trying to show you something. And ask them to stay. Ask them to always stay. Ask them 3 times. And then you dedicate this little preliminary meditation to benefit all beings. It's a powerful meditation. Send out that wish that all beings may benefit, and all beings be happy and free of pain. And you can slowly come back. So, first of all, a couple things. This is class 10. Yay! We made it all the way. Thank you for showing up every week and being so great and participating in the classes, and it's very nice to see that it's been well received and you guys are thinking about the information. And also I want to thank Turnjeet for always showing up early, having everything set up, making sure that we're all taken care of. Amazing. Thank you for that.
Thank you for your help as well. Thank you. Very great. Thank you for teaching. Pleasure to be here. Best part of my week.
No. Yeah, it's been really fun. What I'd like to do is, so this course was based on the 14-verse poem, right? That is at the beginning of your reading. So I'd like to read it one last time. And maybe you can start to recognize the things that we have spoken about. So the last 4 or so verses are the ones that are explaining the last of the 3 principal paths, the correct view. So those are the ones that we're diving into to finish off this course. And then, like I said before, all the courses to come will unpack it more. So you might want to just sit with your eyes closed to listen to this 14 verses. And just, you don't have to, but just be comfortable and try to listen and take it in. So it's called The 3 Principal Paths, written by Jason Kappa. I bow to all the high and holy lamas. As far as I'm able, I'll explain the essence of all high teachings of the victors, the path that all their holy sons command, the entry point for the fortunate seeking freedom. Listen with a pure mind, fortunate ones, who have no craving for the pleasure of life, and who, to make leisure and fortune meaningful, strive to turn their minds to the path which pleases the victors. There is no way to end without pure renunciation. This striving for pleasant results in the ocean of life. It's because of their hankering life as well that beings are fettered, so seek renunciation first. Leisure and fortune are hard to find. Life is not long. Think it constantly. Stop desire for this life. Think over and over how deeds and their fruits never fail. And the cycle suffering, stop desire for the future. When you have meditated thus and feel not even a moment's wish for the good things of cyclic life, and when you begin to think both night and day of achieving freedom, you have found renunciation. Renunciation, though, can never bring the total bliss of matchless Buddhahood, unless it is bound by the purest wish. And so, the wise seek the high wish for enlightenment. They're swept along on 4 fierce river currents, chained up tight in past deeds, hard to undo, stuffed in a steel cage of grasping self, smothered in the pitch-black ignorance. In a limitless round they are born, and in their births and are tortured by 3 sufferings without a break. Think how your mothers feel. Think of what's happening to them. Try to develop this highest wish. You may master renunciation and the wish, but unless you have the wisdom perceiving reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic life. Make efforts in ways then to perceive interdependence. A person has entered the path that pleases the Buddhas when for all objects in the cycle or beyond he sees that cause and effect can never fail, and when for him they lose all solid appearance. You've yet to realize the thought of the able, as long as two ideas seem disparate. The appearance of things, invaluable interdependence, and emptiness beyond taking any position. At some point, they no longer alternate, come together. Just seeing that interdependence never fails brings realization that destroys how you hold to objects. And then your analysis with view is complete. In addition, the appearance prevents the existence extreme, emptiness that of non-existent. And if you see how emptiness shows in cause and effect, you'll never be stolen off by extreme views. When you've grasped as well as I the essential points of each of the three principal paths explained, then go into isolation, my son. Make mighty efforts and quickly win your ultimate wish. So, if you understand this, you can become enlightened. That's all.
Who wrote that?
Jason Kappa.
How do you spell?
So J, it means like king or master or something, J-E. And then Tsongkhapa is Tsongkhapa. And this is a very main figure throughout all of these teachings. You'll hear him a lot. So were there any questions about any of the classes or last class? I know that was a little bit tricky. Yeah.
The end of the last class, it was a little fast for me.
Yeah, it was fast.
So I'm wondering if you could, I think it was the dependent origination, you are making up the world at all times, or there's something at the end that just kind of, I know we went through the different schools and what each one thought, and then...
First of all, what is dependent origination? Maybe somebody can try to explain that.
So it's dependent on a label or thought that is forced on you by your karma?
Yeah, in our school. Yeah, in this school that we're doing. Correct. So, anything that we see, we cannot help seeing, we are forced to see it. And we're forced to see it because of our past deeds, because of our karma. So in this school, the highest school that we're studying, that's what we say. We say, anything we look at is a blank screen. And it is me that's forced to see whatever I'm seeing because of my past deeds. So my middle son says, my little sister's so annoying. She's so annoying. I can't get over it. Over and over he says this. He just thinks she's so annoying. When I see her, I don't see that at all. I won't say I've never seen it, but generally I don't. I just think she's the most amazing little human being that I've ever met. But he doesn't see that. He sees annoying. Okay, so I can't help seeing what I see. He cannot help seeing what he sees. Is she annoying from her own side, self-existently? No, because if she was, I would see her like that all the time too. Okay, so dependent origination, which is the same thing as deceptive reality, is just the way we see things, and they feel really real. To him, that's what she is. She is annoying. Nothing else I can say, right? It's very convincing, and for me, it's very convincing that she's not that. To me, she's like amazing, right? And that feels real. To me, it feels like everyone. No, don't you see that? It feels real, and both of us are forced to see this, and So she is an empty screen, blank, and we are projecting, annoying, or loving, right? Yeah. So this is the high school that would say this. In the lower schools, they don't say that. You know, they say things are dependent on their causes and conditions. Things are dependent on their parts, and we say no. Things are dependent on us labeling. Forced label. I think it's important to always stress that it's forced. It cannot help it. Cannot help it. Okay. And can it change? Can always change. Yes.
So that's why you said at the very end you're making up your world at all times because you're projecting your whole world.
Yeah. So everything is blank, and this is my story. My world is different than your world. Okay? Very different. Yeah.
Could you say that you're both even projecting Mila? That Mila doesn't exist from her own side, that she's a projection
Yeah.
of your karma.
But what we have to worry about, which I'm already jumping into the class right now, is that as you, in the poem just now, it said, in addition, the appearance prevents the existence extreme. Emptiness, that of non-existent. And if you see how emptiness shows in cause and effect, you'll never be stolen off by extreme views. So when they say extreme views, they're talking about the two extreme views that we have to stay away from. And one of them is nothing exists. The other one is everything is self-existent. Everything exists. Okay? And I'm not saying Mila doesn't exist. I'm not saying my daughter doesn't exist. Okay? I'm saying she's not existing self-existently. Otherwise, we would all see her as annoying, or we would all see her as an angel. Right? So she is there. There's a Mila there. So I'm not saying nothing exists, so nothing matters. I can just do whatever because it doesn't matter, it doesn't really exist anyways. Well, things do exist. Does that make sense?
So that's one view, and what was the other?
The other one is we think everything is self-existent. So that's the more common view that people have. The nothing exists view is generally only by people who are studying Buddhism for a little bit, and that's what they think. The other one, the other extreme, is thinking things are self-existent. Okay, blaming everyone for not being happy because you have nothing to do with it. Mila is annoying, and that's the way it is. And she should behave better, right? That would be thinking she is self-existently that. Yeah, sorry.
So once you get to the end of your karma and you're no longer projecting, then you can choose to project Mila.
You're always projecting.
You're always projecting.
And you cannot choose. It will always be forced. But once you are enlightened, this is no longer being driven by ignorance.
So you see your projections.
But you're still projecting.
You recognize them as projections.
Well, that's emptiness. Enlightened is something totally different.
But you're still, as a Buddha, you still see, you still project, you still see, right? But now it's pure. Now it's coming from a pure place. Okay. Rather than being...
So what are you seeing?
You see you're omniscient, right?
Yeah.
So it means you see everything. You see
So
past,
you see
future.
other people's lives.
You see everyone's ultimate nature. You see everyone's potential to become enlightened. You see everyone's suffering. You see how they see themselves, right? So you can read minds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it still a projection? Sure, because you are seeing. It's not like you don't see anything anymore, and I'm just gonna choose what I'm gonna see. No.
So you're saying emptiness is a projection?
I'm saying that.
Another question about the schools of thought. So they get into quite detail and talk about Abhidharma, logic, perceptual theory. You have to know those names. I was looking at the quiz. It doesn't ask you to name them, but in the answer key they list them all off.
Okay.
So should you know them then?
They'll come back again and again
So
in
it's
these
a good idea
courses.
to learn them.
I couldn't remember them for the life of me. I still have to peek because I get them confused. So do what you can. Try to understand the difference, which is the main important thing about it, right? So we can recognize how other people are thinking, or how we ourselves thinking. I'm not too worried about you knowing names and dates. Is not gonna make you enlightened quicker, right? To try to understand the ideas behind it is mainly what we're looking for. So don't worry, don't stress about it. Yeah, just try to understand it, that's all. And then over time you heard it a million times, and then sometimes it'll click.
So the Buddha is a projection.
Yeah,
You like that.
but it functions, right? It functions. So these two extremes, the extreme, so we're on a cliff, okay? And the one extreme is nothing exists, so nothing matters. The other extreme, the other side of the cliff, is everything exists out there, right? And what we're trying to do here is go through the middle way. That's what this school is called, okay? We're the middle way. So we're not, and we have to catch ourselves when we are going for the self-existent view. Most likely will be the main one that you'll try to go over. You got to watch for both and try to stay in the middle.
Mariska, when you're saying everything's a projection,
Yeah.
I guess my feeling is it can't be just kind of be like constantly playing a movie, because there's a point where we make a choice. Right? Like, if someone's really angry at us, we can say that was a projection, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where we either react and act back, or we just go, okay, send them love, and there is that little bit where we do make a choice.
Yeah.
Because if you say, well, just say you chose to react, and you say, well, then that's just another projection, then you never had any choice. I feel like
Well, it's a karma to make a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have the karma,
You can't even make
the choice. So that is a projection to have the karma to make a choice. Yeah.
The choice we make is still at that moment, our choice.
It is. Yeah, that's the level of control that you can apply. But if you don't have the karma to do that, then you don't. I mean, how many people are here? How many people are not in this class? Most of those people aren't consciously thinking about choosing to respond a certain way, right? So it's a very rare karma to try to understand karma.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But yeah, you're right. We have to have the karma to be here, but just still, we each of us, in our own moment by moment, have a choice. We make choices.
Yeah.
That's how we accumulate karma or good or bad.
Sure. But I'm saying even
The choice is your karma, and that karma is created by your past deeds. And so when you shift those past deeds to doing this work, which is kind of what these prayers say, when we're dedicating, and by, all the things we do, then we get to make more choices because we're accumulating the karma of choice.
You are, yeah, it's true what you're saying. You're getting more virtue planted, so by this virtue, you can make more choices. It takes virtue to try to apply any of this stuff, but I understand what you're trying to say is, that we do have control.
Some choice.
Yeah, but do you recognize that sometimes you don't?
Well, what?
You probably don't have control. You probably don't have choice. You just think you do. I just think we do, but we really don't.
It's a projection to see yourself thinking you have you have control or you don't have control, right?
Yeah, I understand that about control, but I'm not sure about choice because right in that moment, you can feel your body going right or left, right or left,
Exactly.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, I assume that that's where the karma kicks in to go, have I done enough work that I can now step into a middle choice?
Yeah.
Not right, not left, but a different one. Is that what kind of
I'm feeling that, something happens. I'm here, so that was good karma.
Yeah.
But whether I don't pay attention, just scribble and eat, or actually I pay attention, is a choice I'm making. That will either go, that is either right, like, okay, I'm getting more, or else, it's a dirty pot, or leaky pot. I'm making the choice to, like, I'm just here to. So, I'm not saying, when I hear your description, I do feel like I'm kind of making a choice right or left. And then
Which takes a tremendous amount of awareness, So it takes a lot of awareness to even see that or to even sense that feeling. Okay, I have a choice here. Should I do this or this? To even get to a place like that, it's extraordinary. Most people do not live like that, Logan. Most people do not feel that they have a choice. They feel that the world is happening out there against them, and they don't have. So you are at the point where you have the awareness to see this happening, to see yourself being able to make a choice, and
So can I ask it? So the choice, is that a projection? Is that what you said?
it's all karma. Like karma, every
So
finger
how is
snap.
projection and karma? I'm sorry, maybe I'm not understanding it. Are they the same word or?
No. So karma is what makes the projection. Karma is what makes you see whatever it is you see. Okay? So you can see it as your world is a blank movie screen, and then the karma is like the projector. The karma is getting the projector to project onto the screen. That helps.
Yeah, that
karma
helps.
is like the film.
Yeah.
What you do affects what you see. I'm saying creating the film is this moment. These are the choices we make to create this film. We're saying that we're just sitting there and just watching the film with based on our past.
Well, the control that you have is the desire to
Affect the future.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm wanting to
So the
create it.
present is basically what you're saying. So
Like, okay,
the
we talk
present
about
is
planting
what.
the seed, right? The seed of karma we plant in. That dropping of the seed, whether good seed or not good seed, is that little awareness. That is our choice to drop the seed. That's not. I don't feel that is karma dropping what seed. I feel like
That's
my
fine.
choice.
That's fine. It doesn't matter. because it still functions. It still functions. We don't have to go deeper into the rabbit hole, It's fine to think what you're saying. It functions beautifully because what we're after is to get out of suffering, to get out of pain.
Yeah.
What you're describing will get you there.
Yeah, that's what I
So
feel.
that's what the main part of, they say that, if you go like to the highest high school, nothing even how do you say, even the atomic particles are projection, right? But you don't have to go that far. You can see them as self-existent if you want. The main importance is your behavior, and how are you choosing? Can you understand karma and emptiness to such a degree that you become a kind of person because you understand if you start to yell back at people that you're just creating more suffering,
Yeah, like the three principal paths, choosing renunciation requires you to choose it. You have to go for the pleasant things, or do I recognize that was just good karma to get good snacks? Yeah.
I mean, are you trying to, does the school represent that principle so that Hogan can then therefore understand that people don't have a choice? Is that for the empathy? Is that what he's missing? Or is that what we're talking about? I'm kind of getting lost.
Well, it can easily lead into that, like, nothing exists, nothing matters.
Mm-hmm.
I feel I have no choice.
Right.
It doesn't matter what I do.
Right.
Like this, be mean to you.
Right.
Whatever, doesn't really matter.
Right.
Everything's playing out a movie anyway. I don't really have to choose. I can do whatever I feel like whenever I want, and so that's what we don't want to slide down.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the middle way is to make that choice of like, don't. You're right. Okay, maybe the right and left you don't want to slide to. It doesn't really matter what I do, because it does actually matter what I do.
It does matter. It does
I
matter
get
what
that
you
message that it
Because
does
in
matter.
the present, you're shifting your karma.
Yeah.
So,
So there is
that
like, okay,
moment.
if we are shifting our karma, then I'm saying that is where it works for me to know that I have to be conscious of the choices I make.
Yeah. And then by doing that, it will just like
Yeah.
snowball, right? And then you'll feel that even clearer that
But
now.
step, every little step I take will hopefully take me home, or it can take me
Right.
the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to take little steps to get.
because, the prayer, when we read it in English, I don't know if the Sanskrit is different, but it's complete the collection of merit and wisdom, by the acts that we're doing. So in the present, in this moment, right, we have the choice to collect merit, to step there instead of in the ditch.
Well, being here is bonus karma points. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here.
But what I find very interesting now is sort of in that new agey philosophical realm. You hear a lot of them teaching there's no such thing as karma anymore. We've left that behind. We're now, and I think it's almost like they've taken, how the millennials grew up with, okay, give everyone a reward. There is no, everyone is perfect. Everyone gets a reward. It doesn't matter. There's no winning. There's no losing team. Everyone's a winner, And they're doing the same thing with this. Like, you don't need to work anymore. There is no work to be done. Karma's gone, all this. And you hear this over and over and over again in a lot of talks that are coming out, right? And I find that really interesting in light of I mean, this makes sense.
There's always good and evil, isn't there?
This isn't about good and evil, though. This
Or
is,
right and wrong.
No, it's not even. It's it's about. I mean, like what we're learning. To me, like lands in the heart. It's like you collect, you merit, you make your choices. You're trying to be aware all the time. You don't want to create more suffering on the planet. You're looking to be of service at all times. So that to me, I'm always like I listen and I know there's thousands of people listening to these other philosophies, and I'm going, oh my goodness, it's a really interesting place, that part of the world, because that's an easy place. That's no work. I don't have to meditate. I don't have to think about this. I don't have to step into this. I just, right?
Yeah.
I think there's.
But it can function. It can function for people to get them to a certain place.
Yes.
Right?
It can.
When you're not ready to hear certain things, then you go with what you can hear, and eventually, according to these teachings, everybody will become enlightened at some point. Everyone. So, sadly, it might take some people a bit longer than others. Yeah.
Can I clarify? So you're saying that your school or the school that you're
The higher
studying,
Yeah.
the higher school, that like Hogan's example of making a choice
Yeah.
of whether to do something more conscious or more unconscious. What he's got that choice from is his karma,
Mm-hmm.
and he can't help himself. Like that's what he's got. He can't do even that. If there were a higher, more karmic thing. Okay, whereas the person who can only choose unconscious at this moment,
Yeah.
they can't help themselves. So he can't help himself, that other person can't help themselves, is what the school believes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that maybe isn't on purpose, but on, what, there's a word for it, but whatever. It basically says that that's how empathy has value, huge. We need to understand how to empathy because of that. Or is that not really?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Right? Keep treating
No
everyone
judgment.
the same.
Yeah,
Right?
sorry, I meant
Yeah.
equanimity.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, equanimity is what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. Because everybody is suffering. Everybody's suffering in their ways, and they can't help it
Right.
until
can.
there's the karma for them to shift whatever is going on for them, right? All of a sudden, the way that they're suffering, either it appears from the outside, maybe if you have an abusive partner and all of a sudden they change and they're now nice, or maybe something in you switches where you can finally leave the relationship, or it can change many ways, but until maybe someone comes to help you and pull you out, whatever it is, in whatever form, it will change when it's in time, when the karma is there. Yeah, you
So
can't help but to
You
choose.
can't change that person. Like, I mean, we know that. But
Yeah.
on that level, to help somebody with their karma is impossible.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? So you're dealing with somebody who is, has different karma that isn't allowing them to see clearly. You can't help them to see clearly, basically.
But maybe you can, because you don't know what their karma is. Maybe you coming to them is exactly perfectly what they needed, and whatever you say to them just pops for them, and then shifts whatever needed to be shifted, right? So it's not like, because I can't help anyone because it's their karma. I'll just sit at home and watch TV. No, no. You can help. But do you have control over? You don't, right? I mean, you can be there, and when they're ready, you're there for
You
them.
don't have to stand and take abuse, right?
No. And you can't, all you do is your best at all times. Be kind, do the things, like act morally, and whether this affects a person or not, you can't change anybody. They have to change when they're ready to change. And we're, as long as we can just be there.
We can only affect our own karma.
That's right. Being of service affects your karma.
So you want to still keep helping this person.
Because it will benefit you also, but that to decide. I mean, you serve people.
And I guess that's where I'm kind of maybe you saying you serve. Everything is, there's something we have to do. So I'm kind of going, well, Georgina could do nothing or could try to help. And I'm saying that's the choice she makes. To either help or to
Or there's a choice that you make, you give up. Some people see it as, I'm giving up my needs. Well, if you turn that on its head and say, I'm not giving up my needs, I'm being of service.
You're being of service, and the nice benefit is that you're planting seeds for your own mind to then also reap the benefits of doing whatever you did for this person, right? So that's very nice. And that shouldn't be the reason why you serve people, but that's just a nice side effect that you are actually, creating a more beautiful future when you're not so concerned about yourself and you help other people. And no, we cannot control.
So you get confused with that when you're in a very abusive relationship constantly. Like for me, mother and daughter.
Yeah.
It's an extremely abusive. And I used to rise to the occasion, and I became that way myself. And now I remember what a Buddhist monk told me once: you can only fight with both hands. So if only one is fighting, they can't fight. So I've chosen to disengage, but the hooks are still there. And the Judeo-Christian sort of planet that was handed to me, or my birthright, is that you serve your mother. And that's all you basically is what I've trained to do. But I can't do it at the risk of not living. And I don't know if that, like, I want our karma to end. I pray to God every night that this is the last time we do this, because this tango is not good. It's not healthy in any way, shape, or form, or benefiting others. And when you say projection, I'm not the only person that feels this way about this other person. So I feel a little vindicated, but there again, I also feel like, how do you serve this person? Because I only want the best for her now. I'm not angry anymore. But I can't engage.
Yeah.
Maybe that's serving.
The best.
Pardon me?
Maybe that in itself is serving her by you not engaging. Have you ever thought of that?
No, I didn't, but thank you.
Service.
Thank you for reframing that completely.
Because what you're doing is stepping away so she can no longer exercise her negative karma with you. So by you stepping away, you're actually of service.
Oh.
Yeah. And that, and then the fact that the beautiful thoughts that you were just describing, that you are praying for it to be over, and that you love her, that you forgive her, like all of that also counts, You can make her offerings in your mind without seeing her.
Every yoga class, I offer it up to her.
Well, there you go. And that's beautiful. And exactly what Serena said. It's a beautiful way to serve her. by not seeing her. You are serving her because she cannot hurt you in the way that she was hurting you. And
you can't hurt her back by doing the dance anymore.
if that's what you were doing, if you were, I don't know.
Up to last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Up to last year when I decided to completely disengage.
So, and then things can shift. I mean, Charanjit, her mother disowned her. She didn't see her for like 8 years, right? And now she's back in her life. And speaking to Charanjit a few years ago, we never thought that would happen. I can tell you that. There was, it didn't look like that was going to happen. And now look, it's still a work in progress. But it went from no contact to all of a sudden the mom comes to visit her daughter in the hospital, brings food, whatever. A few years ago, no way. So things do change. And how do they change? By when you apply these teachings, trying to understand the whole karma and emptiness about your situation. And then, beautiful thoughts and making offerings, all of this will help to shift the situation. Yeah. So let's so karma and emptiness come together. They're not separate, okay? They're like two sides of the same coin. This is a question in the homework too. Like, can they come together? And the answer is that's how they come. You cannot have one without the other. They come together. They're intertwined. And when you understand emptiness, you understand that you have to be moral in your everyday life. And we can again bring the example of the movie screen, and then, your karma is what turns on the projector and views your work. So they come together. You cannot have a movie screen without anything to project onto it. Okay, so they come together. So then there's one word that I haven't said, and I think I should have said it last class. The word gakcha. Say gakcha.
Gotcha.
Gakcha. Gakcha means Gakja. So the definition of gakcha is the object that we deny. Meaning what?
We think it being self, it has its own nature, exists from its own side.
Yeah.
That's the gotcha.
Yeah.
It's gotcha.
Yeah. So when you see
It's
a
not
cup,
original.
it looks like it's out there. It has nothing to do with me, my karma projecting onto, this. Doesn't look like that, okay? So the gakcha is, that deceptive thing that we are denying. We are saying, okay, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a self-existent object in this school.
Such thing as a
Self-existent object. Yeah.
Deny.
So here in the line that we were just reading in the verses, if we think, to go back to karma and emptiness, as long as those two understandings of karma and emptiness appear unconnected, you have not realized the true intentions of the Buddha. Okay? So again, they come together. come in a pair. So let's just go over a scenario. Actually, I was listening to this class on YouTube by a teacher named Hector Marcel, and there were like class A and B. And in class B, he started to explain his experience with an angry boss or coworker, someone who would yell at him every day. And very beautiful the way, because his teacher told him, I want you to try this out. Okay, it's nice to come to class and to listen, but the whole point is let's apply it to our life, right? So he's like, oh, okay, I got a nasty person in my life. Let's see what happens, right? He's kind of skeptical, but when this person yells at him, he yells back. And as he has now learned these things, now he realized, okay, I really want to yell right now, but I'm not going to yell right now. But I still see him as a nasty person. I don't like him at all, okay? But now I can just not respond in kind, which throws the other guy off, obviously, because they're used to having this thing. And then over time, as he's practicing this every day, I guess, at one point, the guy yells at him again, and he just starts crying. And
Who cries? The one that
who's trying to apply
the
this
one that's
stuff.
trying to
Yeah, his name is Hector. And he starts crying because all of a sudden he sees this boss as a person in pain. And he just feels so much love for him. Well, before, he didn't like him at all, There's no feeling of love. There's just a feeling of, I guess, survival and make it through the day and yell back whenever he comes in with his nasty stuff. And then all of a sudden seeing him and feeling massive compassion. And then I think the boss is like, doesn't understand why he's crying, right? And so the whole thing just shifts. And it's very beautiful, and he's emotional as he's telling it. He starts crying and stuff. It's very, very nice. But even if this, forget about Buddhism for a second. What is a nicer way to live? Like, does it make you feel better if you yell back at this person that's being nasty to you, and every time get angry and upset? Or is it nice to, see them as a being that is just in pain like everybody else, and they just want to be loved? And, what's a nicer way to live? So we say, like in these courses, or the Dalai Lama says that if you can't be kind, at least be neutral, right? Sometimes it's really hard to be kind if someone's doing you wrong. Yeah? So the first step would just be, okay, we're just not going to yell back. Okay, I can't, fully love you at this point, but respond in a neutral way. And then eventually, we can respond in a very kind, loving manner. And it's a much more beautiful way to live like that. And that's, easy said. Sometimes that's very hard to do. But it's worthwhile.
Like Marshall Rosenberg, who was the man who started nonviolent communication, I love one of his sayings. He says, in our culture, usually people say, don't just stand there, do something. Well, in nonviolent communication, we say, don't do something, just stand there.
It's possible when you're not connected, when that person's response doesn't affect your life events. That's really possible. And yes, everyone wants to live without that confrontation, but when that person that you're having to see their suffering, and yeah, I don't know how to say it without saying it. It is possible, but once that person is removed from the connection you have, the communal need you have to each other, then you can do that. But when you need each other in a certain way, I can't say it.
Well, think about it. Think about it.
I can really see it. If I could take that person out of that role that they are in, right? Because I've had that happen, and I have that same experience with another person, taking them out of that role, and there's so much compassion and love.
But it's more intense when you have to certain role with them.
Right.
Then it's harder. Yeah.
Right.
And that's where you need to do the work, not when it's easier. In the heat, it's very powerful. If someone that's so close to you does that, and then you can remain strong or, stay neutral, wow, then that's very, very powerful. And sometimes it's not possible. I understand that.
There's a fine line between that and repression of your emotions.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you shouldn't feel. By all means, you should feel, but don't direct it at the person. Don't blame the other person for making you feel this way, because it's not them. That's your karma that you're feeling this way, and it cannot be that they are the responsible for
It's
that.
a fine line between that and being a martyr. I don't know. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't need it solved.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. So I'm not saying you shouldn't feel anger. You should, and I'm also not saying that you should not yell back at them. When you should yell back at them is when this me is not involved in that same way, right? You can yell back. I've said that before in this class. You can yell back out of love, But when you shouldn't yell is when you try to blame them, and that is when we think they're self-existently acting a certain way towards us, and that's what we're here for, trying to discover, trying to understand that that's not possible.
So what if you yell back about your own needs, not about them at all?
Right. I'm sorry to be so takes up time because it is a personal
it's
issue.
important.
But
It's important.
because my karma, my mom was she was a martyr, huge. Like she made Joan of Arc look like a joke. So since my mother is a martyr, and then I have that pattern, and I've worked really hard at not having that pattern. And then these actors come into my life that are testing me on that.
Yeah.
And yet I'm supposed to not get triggered and not, yell. Like you're saying, yes, yell back, but it has to be in a very, good way. You can't just be yell and blame. It has to be a certain way.
Can you yell and thank them? Thank you for being my testers. Thank you for
Probably not in
testing
that
me
moment,
again.
right?
Thank
In
you
that
for.
moment, it's hard. Yeah, I mean, we
I
all.
guess the question is, how do you know the difference between you're on the right path? I don't even know what that is, or you're perpetuating a habit or a pattern that a karmic cycle.
Yeah. So you're always right where you need to be, and we're all gonna get triggered exactly in those points where they're the hardest, because that's where we need. If it was easy, then there was no work to do, Where it feels tough, this is okay. This is where need to work on. So when you apply the principles of karma and emptiness to any situation, this is when you no longer perpetuate the cycle. When you can understand, okay, wow, this person is yelling at me. I must have been very angry, nasty at someone else in the past. This is why I'm seeing this, like you're saying, this is an actor playing this out, ripening my karma for me. When you see it that way, then it's done. Then it's purified. If you don't see it that way, you start perpetuating. So sometimes you can see it a little bit that way. Sometimes you don't see it at all that way. Sometimes you see it, more or less that way. And that's good. Even just a little bit of wisdom will shift the whole situation. And then, as I was saying to Lena, you can then also, when you're not with them, do practice and offer them things in your mind and going over situations you've had with them before that triggered you, and apply these thoughts to them, and things can shift very, very quickly. I'm saying that because I've tried it a million times and it's worked. It's shifted people very quickly for me. But that's something you just need to try and do, and test it out. See if that works for you, and see if that's a nicer way to be. I feel like, I'll tell you, like, I've been going to the gym, right? I told you that before, like the kickboxing gym, and I don't know nothing about kickboxing, but there's a bag there, so I'm punching it, and I'm thinking I'm punching it right, and I've been going for 3 months, like 3 or 4 times a week, and I'm getting fitter, and that's all nice, but my hand was hurting, and it wasn't until yesterday where now I think I've sprained my fingers, and I was, you're supposed to hit with your knuckles, but I was hitting with this for 3 months. I had no idea that's what I'm doing. I'm in this big glove, and the teachers say my punch looked good because I have a straight arm, but I wasn't punching with this. I was punching with it. So it took all this time for me to realize, oh, I feel so dumb, Of course you're supposed to punch with your knuckles. Everybody knows that, but for some reason it didn't. I mean, they say it in the class many times, and punch with your knuckles, and I've heard it, and I thought I was doing it, but I obviously wasn't. So I'm hurting myself for months until yesterday, where I really hurt myself, and here I realize, thank God I hurt myself a lot, because now it made me stop and really try to figure out, what am I doing wrong? I know I'm doing something. So the teacher helping me, and then I discovered, oh yeah, I'm punching with this. So now I know, yay, now I can take responsibility, and the next time I go in, I will act differently. Okay, now I will try my hardest to punch. It's not going to be super easy because I already trained myself to always do it with this. So it's going to take a little bit of work. But I know there's nobody else who can do this but me. So I'm taking the responsibility. I'm going to act differently. Okay. So I thought, hey, this is a beautiful metaphor because, we are all hurting. We don't even realize it. I had no idea I was hurting myself. I mean, I felt it, but I didn't really understand I was hurting, So that's what we do. We hurt until we hit a point in our life where, like, I'm really hurting. I don't want to hurt anymore, right? And that's the point. That's renunciation, okay? That's when we decide we're not going to settle for this anymore. I want to do whatever it takes to not hurt anymore. So then from that moment on, we can take responsibility and start to act differently, okay? So then when someone is triggering us, and take the responsibility and not blame them, even though it's so easy, I was telling my husband about this, and he's right away, the instructors, they should have known, they should have told, this is what we do, right? we want to blame and say, no, it's my fault. I'm gonna fix it too, okay? So don't worry. But that's what we do. We always just want to blame the other person because it's not me, it can't be me. But that's not true. So we have to take the responsibility and then start to implement a new way of being to create new cycles and actually to just get out of it altogether, right? Yeah. So lastly for this class, I'm just going to go over a scenario, okay? A scenario with an angry person, okay? So the first step, someone is yelling at you. The first step is, okay, that's an angry person, coming to realize that. But this person is empty. They have no nature of their own, okay? They appear to me a certain way, okay? This is my perception, my label, that they appear as angry, yelling at me. Yeah? Step two. That's step two. That's my perception, my label. I see them that way. Their mother doesn't see them that way. Or, like I was telling about my daughter, one person sees her as annoying, one person sees her as loving, okay? So it's my perception, my label to see this angry person. So then we recognize the nature of this. Is it voluntary or is it forced upon me? It's forced upon me. I cannot help it that they are yelling at me and that they're angry with me. I cannot help that I see that. So then, it's forced because it's forced by my past deeds. I've been nasty, angry at someone. Okay. So that's number 4. Like we're understanding the nature of this angry person. And now we're going to choose how to react to the situation. If you have the awareness to go through all these first few steps, then you also have the awareness of how can you react. Hopefully you have that. So what I said, at least be neutral. At best, be virtuous.
What was the difference between the first and the second?
One is a witness.
The first step is you're seeing this person. Yeah, you're seeing them angry, and you know that they're empty. I mean, it's all closely related. This is not something for your homework. This is just something to help you kind of break it down a little bit. Not to worry about the fine details. So at least be neutral. At best, be virtuous. If you can't help it, at least don't hurt them. And then in that moment, so someone's yelling at you and you're deciding, okay, I'm not going to yell back. Does that change the person in that moment? Probably not. Probably still be angry. I mean, you never know. Maybe all of a sudden they're like, okay, you're not yelling back? Okay, I guess I'll stop yelling too. Who knows? Most likely they'll probably just stay angry, right? Because it will take some time for the karma to come in effect of not yelling back. Remember, we said there's a time gap. Okay? So when you plant a seed, it takes time before it grows into a flower or a tree. Same with the karmic seeds. So in the short term, you'll be happier because you didn't get all worked up. It just feels nicer to not be an ass, right? It feels nicer to be nice and be neutral or kind. It feels nicer than going off and getting super angry. So that's a short-term benefit. And then in a long-term effect, it leads to the cessation of all your mental afflictions and bring you to nirvana and enlightenment. Acting this way. So, is it easy to do? I didn't say that. But it will get easier, you know, because as you start to blame the outer world less and less, then there's nothing really to get upset about, you know? People can't affect you in the same way because, you know, it's all your projection, it's all your karma, and you don't see them as separate from yourself anymore, so they can't really hurt you.
It's also why we come to class to hear this, to remember this, because we all forget.
You forget.
Every day, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to hear it millions of times. You know? Yeah.
Isn't that amazing when somebody can read something to you, or you can read something 1,000 times, and then one day you go reading the same paragraph and you go, oh my gosh, I never saw that before. You know?
Yeah.
It's startling.
Yeah.
Because you weren't ready to see
You
it.
weren't ready, so one day it will click. And this stuff, it's not easy, because it's kind of opposite of how we've lived, you know, for many lifetimes. So it's going to take a little time to implement new ideas and new ways of reacting to people and new ways of standing in the world. So that's okay. That's okay.
Transrita was saying, we've been taught mostly to stand up for ourselves, stand up and be counted, stand up and fight, stand up and do this. And sometimes what I've found lately with a few of my relationships, when you don't engage, the other person seems to try to hook in with another, like go around the back door sort of thing, to see if they can get the rise out. It's difficult
It is.
to stay disengaged.
It is. It is. People
I
love
I get the
bonding
shakes
over
after.
that.
Pardon me?
People love bonding over, I don't know, suffering, you know, over gossiping or whatever,
Yeah, well,
right?
there's a certain amount of what is that called in your brain? Serotonin or something that's released with fighting, the same as loving somebody. It's the same sort of chemical that's released in your brain with a good fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Serotonin?
No.
Not
Wouldn't be
serotonin.
serotonin.
No.
There's something else though that's released.
Dopamine.
Dopamine.
Oh,
The
dopamine.
same like
Yeah.
when you're bungee jumping or something. Yeah.
But it has to do with that self, you know, that wants to be recognized, that wants to be seen.
Endorphins.
And
Thank you.
here we are kind of going the other way, you know? Like, don't strive to be extraordinary, we strive to be ordinary, you know?
That's what's released is
What
adrenaline.
did you say?
I said, don't strive to be extraordinary, strive to be ordinary. It's what these teachings don't, like, stand up for yourself and try to be, you know, we've gone through these 8 worldly thoughts where we want people to praise us, we want to be famous, we want all this stuff for this me to feel bigger or something. And here, what we're learning here is, no, we're going the other way. Opposite direction. We're not feeding into that self, into that me that so desperately, that ego, you know? We're trying to kill it, actually, because we can never be happy until it's gone. Never be truly happy until then. So by applying karma and emptiness, we are killing all of those tendencies of self-grasping and making our way to feel fully content, and after that becoming happy, you know? Yeah. So that's it, guys.
Can I ask one other question?
Yeah.
So, is there a karma shift? Like, if something happened and you acted in the old way and you went, oh my, I missed the mark, I want to do it this way. So you go back, you make amends or whatever, and you say thank you, and I won't, and you shift. And does that also shift karma?
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole course around that.
Yeah, course 5.
Course 5? I can't wait.
Yeah.
I need that one.
Again, so this is an outline for 18 courses, right? No, that's not true. The last 3 are review courses, so it's total of 15 courses. So this very first course is an outline of all of them. So we go more in depth into all of these subjects.
So when is the next course?
So next week we have a break, and then the week after we start course 2. We do 2 classes, and then we have a long break because of Christmas, and then I'll be in retreat, and then at the end of January we resume. Okay, so this is on Open Door Yoga website, if you forget. But yeah, so not next week, but the week after we'll be here again, and then I'll remind you again of the dates. Okay, so let's close with the prayers.
Prayers,
But no frustrations, thank you. Yes.
Oh,
So
Why is
in
that?
the last class
the
we
last
don't do
class.
frustrating because it's unfinished business.
Thank you very much. Please keep teaching and stay.
Thank you guys.
2 weeks.
Yes. Oh, awesome. Thank you. I have one too.